Hey, what's up, Warriors? Out here in my PT gear, just finished working out, and I want to talk with all of you about why I personally could not care less about who the President of the United States is, and even better, why I don't really care about or for politics at all. All right, so let's jump into it. The bottom line up front, the reason why I don't care particularly whether it's a Democrat or a Republican or an independent person, or if it's Trump or if it's Clinton or any of these things that you see a lot of proposed experts arguing about all the time, is simple. No one individual is going to be greater than the system within which they are working. All right, and I'm going to prove this a little bit later on with some personal experience in my life. But that's really the bottom line up front. I actually was reading How to Win Friends and Influence People. I can't remember who said the quote. I want to say it was Benjamin Franklin, but I'm not sure. And he talked about politics is the art of marshaling hatreds. Okay, what do I mean by that? Really simple. All these politicians that get on TV, they're all playing a role. Okay, they're all being an actor on a stage in order to get you emotionally involved in what it is they're trying to do. All right, they're going to pitch, they make all these promises, all these things that they're fighting against. But at the end of the day, just like the rest of us, you're talking about self-interested players in this game called life who have their own personal agenda and why they want to be politicians. All right, and politics, to me at its core, the reason why I have why I'm so apolitical is because it's ineffective. Basically, politics has not evolved to be effective in the way the world is today. It's why you often hear me say that entrepreneurs and people who own businesses, people that want to shape the world in their own image, are ultimately going to have a more powerful impact on the world than any politician ever will in the future. You can look at people like Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, folks like that to flesh that out. But the point here, this marshaling of hatreds, right? They're playing a role, and really all they're doing is they're playing on all of our individual cognitive biases, the things we like, the things we don't like, the things we believe in, the things we're against. And they play on these things whether they believe them or not. Okay, I even had one of Donald Trump's former coaches, I had a chance to sit in some coaching with him, and he was talking about how a lot of the stuff that you see on TV, even coming out of the mouths, and paraphrasing, of these politicians is nonsense just to get people fired up. It's very similar to if you were a fan of sports. You have a favorite football team, right? Chances are you have a hated football team. Why is that? Did anybody on that football team do anything to you, to your family? Did the owner say something rude to you? No, you've been conditioned to believe that because you are a fan of, let's say, the Washington Redskins, you are conditioned to hate the Dallas Cowboys because that's part of our creed, that's part of who we are as people. But at the end of the day, why would you ever have a hatred for these other people that have no impact or influence on your life? But going back to the original point, no individual person is going to be greater than the system within which they work. And our political system is ineffective. And all of you that get up in arms about, I want change and I want this to change, understand that these politicians are working within a system whose main goal is to establish equilibrium. It's to establish the status quo. Big change never happens until it becomes socially and politically untenable for it not to change. So one individual is not going to get into office and all of a sudden make a big change. Okay, perfect example, people will look back at Obama and say he was the one that repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell, all right, or started to make movement towards allowing for gay marriages to be legal, right? But he wasn't the one person who affected that. Those chains of habit have been moving for decades, maybe even centuries, if you want to take these issues back to, you know, our ancestry and our history. It just finally got to the point where it was politically untenable for it not to change. Thus, your players, your politicians that you put so much faith in, decided to take the stance of helping the change that was already in motion to happen. If anything, politics is designed to keep change to a minimum because they're trying to control the chaos and establish the status quo. So I'm not saying I'm right, by the way, but this idea of I'm going to put my faith in this political candidate or that political candidate to affect some mastermind change, the fact of the matter is it's the nucleus of people, the voice of the nucleus, the majority. And remember, it usually only takes 10% of society to believe in something before the rest of society will adopt it. And once that happens, there's no politician anywhere that's over time going to keep that change from happening. So all these things that we fight against, all these things we get up in arms about, it's a game. And I believe people play into the game thinking they're aiding their own interests, but what you're really aiding is the interest of these politicians who have their self-interest at heart. And I'm not saying that all politicians are evil, or that there's a conspiracy, or that they're all in the Illuminati, or any of that crap. What I'm saying is, just like us, they are self-interested human beings. Even the ones who are altruistic and do want to affect positive change. I have friends, okay, who are politicians. Matter of fact, I have family who are politicians, okay? So I don't think they're evil. I don't think that what they're doing is wrong. But for me to put my faith in that person, that they're ultimately going to be able to change the course of history, I believe is somewhat naive. Because they're not. They work in a system, and that system is designed to maintain the status quo. That's why I believe entrepreneurs and people who start businesses will ultimately, in the grand scheme of history, have a greater effect, because their mindset is to disrupt the status quo by bringing something that they believe needs to happen, thus creating the world in their own image. We talk about that a lot when we have our biblical discussions. Okay? That's why I'm so apolitical. That's why I don't care who the president is, because at the end of the day, they're going to fall into a system that's going to allow the change to the degree that the people decide that change is politically and socially tenable. The reason why I have a distaste for politics is because it doesn't get things done. Bureaucracy does not get things done in an efficient, and sometimes not even in an effective manner. A lot of money is spent and a lot of time is wasted instead of action being taken. That's why I don't care who the president is, whether it's Trump or Clinton, or it could be Bob Marley, for all I'm concerned. Seriously, at the end of the day, no individual is greater than the system that they're going to find themselves in. And I told you I was going to give you a practical example from my life. I'm going to talk about my career. So I was seen during my military career, maybe not by everybody, but by a large majority of people, as a good officer. Okay, I was in a unit that did very well at what we did, both in and outside of combat. But this is what I'm here to tell you. No one man, no one commander, no one leader is greater than the system he finds himself in. My greatness had less to do with my talents and my abilities and my foresight, and it had a lot more to do with the fact that I was in a system that was being driven by extremely good people with an extremely clear vision and an idea of where we were going. You literally could have pulled me out of the organization and input someone who was less skilled, less talented, less passionate about his people, and you would have gotten maybe not exactly the same results, but you would have gotten marginally similar results. Okay? That's why I don't care who the president is, because it's plug and play. You could put me in the presidency, right? I have no desire to be a part of that, because I think it's an inefficient, figurehead position. That does have some power, but at the end of the day, that power is subject to the system. And that's my point. I don't care who the president is, not because I'm against a particular candidate or I think that it's all doomed. In fact, I think our country is getting better day by day. I don't care because, frankly, one individual is not more powerful than the system that they submit themselves to. All right, I love you guys. We are stronger than I. Hope you got something out of this. Remember, our whole goal here, and me sharing this with you, is to give you ideas and thoughts that challenge the way you think, with my hope being that I, in some way, shape, or form, share something with you that impacts your life in a positive way. It's not my job to change the way you think or to tell you that I'm right and you're wrong. It's just my job to share the information as I see it and hope that it challenges your mind to think more deeply about whatever the issues are, such that you can live the best life possible, the life that I believe God has intended you to live. I love you. We're stronger than I. I'll see you soon. Later.